Plenty of pre-holiday fireworks at the legendary Bull Ring. Happy 4th of July, everyone. I'm Jay Elson, and this is Midco Motorsports. Well, last summer, we tried something new here at Midco Sports Network, executing our first ever live broadcast of dirt track racing from River Cities Speedway. Things went so well that we decided to do it again, and Friday, Midco SN returned to Grand Forks for the annual Midseason Championship. That is this week's A feature. Over an inch of rain fell on the track the prior night, which led to some lightning fast speeds. In heat race number 2 of the Wissota Modified, scary moment for Jeff Reed as he gets together with Tanner Armstrong and barrel rolls down the back straightaway. Good news here, though, as Reed would climb out of the car okay. The Street Stock A main would be the first feature of the night, with Ryan Johnson and Daniel Aberle battling it out for second place. That was fun to watch all race long, but no one could catch the 18 of Adam Burrows. The West Fargo native leads wire to wire for the win. Competitive feature in the B-Mods division. On the start, some trouble for the 21 of Todd Johnson. He tips the car onto two wheels and barely saves it from toppling over. That brought out the caution. Lance Schill led early on, but Winnipeg's Austin Hunter would grab the lead away with a high side pass on lap 6, and he goes on to hold off a late charge from Matt Scow in the closing laps to pick up his third victory of the week. 17 NLRA late models lined up for the main event. We pick it up on lap 3. Veteran Mike Bulkin shoots past Ryan Corbett to take over the lead. But Dustin Strand had the best car on the track, and it wasn't even close. After starting 6th, he picks off cars one by one and eventually slingshots past Bulkin on lap 10. The most heart-stopping moment came 3 laps later. Travis Robertson running in the top 5, but loses control, then shoots off the top of the track and soars through the air into the fencing at full speed. The car was absolutely destroyed, but fortunately, Robertson able to emerge from that wreckage unscathed. To the ensuing restart now, Strand nearly loses it himself. The 71 able to recover, though, and from that point forward, he holds off all comers en route to his second straight win at the Bull Ring.
My car's been pretty good through the middle and high, and they were kind of locked to the bottom, and I was able to roll right above them and just tell you everything was working great. My guys in the pits, Nate and Timmy and my dad, have been working their tail off, and hopefully we can keep clicking a few off.
Last but not least were the NOSA 410 sprint cars. After the redraw, Mark Dobmeyer started on the front row, and that was bad news for everyone. Dobmeyer blew the doors off the field, building nearly a 5-second advantage at one point. There was one nervous moment on the final lap, though, as Jack Croker slides high, forcing Dobmeyer to put on the brakes. He handled it well, though, zips by on the inside and drives on for his 4th victory of the season at River Cities.
I tell you what, it was wild. This is probably the smoothest, stickiest track I think I've ever seen here at River Cities Speedway. That was wide open, never lifting a bit for the corners. That was just ripping around, and then come up on lap cars. A lot of guys are too tight, so all of a sudden they'd wash up in front of you, and you had to make some sudden moves to avoid them and get going where you need to be. It was you had to be on your heads. You had to have heads up, that's for sure.
All right, here to recap our live racing event on Midco Sports Network here from River City Speedway in Grand Forks. Brian, Sean, Chris Shirk with you. And Chris, fortunate to get this race in just based on the amount of water that fell on the track the night before it took place. But give credit to the track crew and all the people involved to get this race in. The speeds were electric.
It was crazy. I found out they hadn't even touched the track till about 6 o'clock today. And, you know, the track was fast. It was smooth. Really, that's all you can do with the hand that they were dealt to this weekend.
So with the races that took place, it seemed like the cars, certainly because everybody was kind of the same speed, the track didn't widen out. So the cars that were on the front row really had an advantage, and we saw that throughout all the features. But Dustin Strand was the one guy that kind of defied that logic because he came from 6th to win. Yeah,
and the guys that did win, I think they would have won if they started towards the back. You know, the luck of the draw, they did start up front. Good drivers will find a way to win. And Mark Dobmeyer, yes, he started on the front row. He still passed, I would say, 20-25 cars tonight.
Yeah, you look about the lap traffic, about 2 laps in, he was already passing cars. 4 wins already for Dobmeyer. He's running here more locally. His team seems to be settled in. He's a guy that right now is definitely the man to beat every time he's on the track.
Yeah, it's tough to hate a guy like that. You know, he's back to being a car owner. He's winning races. He's going to the lake with his family. It's tough to hate a guy like that.
What did you enjoy most about the evening that we had here tonight? Because the speeds were fast, the cars went fast. We had a couple of really bad wrecks, but overall, Chris, there was some good racing.
There was a lot of good racing. Anytime you can be at the racetrack, it's a good night. And in my opinion, anytime you can go to the races, it's a great night of racing.
Well, congratulations to all our feature winners, and thanks to all those that joined us for this live race on Midco Sports Network. It was a lot of fun. Thanks so much for tuning in.
Well, less than a week after the loss of Jason Johnson, the World of Outlaws returned to the site of his greatest racing triumph. We'll have the heavy-hearted highlights from Knoxville Raceway next. And welcome back. Well, it was just 2 years ago that Jason Johnson did what seemed to be impossible, besting Donnie Schatz to win the 2016 Knoxville Nationals. This past weekend, just days after Johnson's tragic death, friends and competitors of the Ragin' Cajun returned to the site of that triumph. Night one of the Brownells Big Guns Bash wrapped up with pole setter Donnie Schatz shooting into the lead at the start of the 25-lap main event. Lap 4 now, Schatz forced to slow his roll as Brian Brown gets into the fence, bringing out the caution. Scary moment on the ensuing restart. Linton Jeffrey gets a run on Schatz, but the 15 squeezes him into the fence, sending Jeffrey into a violent tumble in turn 1. Just a nasty wreck, but after some nervous moments, Jeffrey did emerge from his car unharmed. When racing resumed, it was all Schatz. He blows away the field to record win number 27 at Knoxville, not to mention his series-leading 12th of the season with the Outlaws. Less than 24 hours later, Schatz looked to complete the weekend sweep. He got off to another good start in this one, but this time things would stay interesting. Move ahead to lap 9, Brad Sweet slides past the 15 to take over first. But that would not be the last lead change. Off the lap 10 restart, the 5-car of David Gravel beats both guys into turn 1. Another restart came 7 laps later. Schatz looking for payback. He gets it briefly, but Gravel able to answer right back. And that one would seal it. David Gravel, best shots for his 4th win of 2018 and the 3rd of his career at Knoxville. Sprint cars have been a lifelong passion for Justin Henderson, but they currently rank a little lower on his list of priorities. Find out why when Midco Motorsports rolls on. Like a lot of talented drivers, South Dakota native Justin Henderson has spent a good chunk of his career competing all over the country. But life has changed significantly over the past few years, and so have his priorities. More on that in this week's Inside Track.
All right, Justin, well, you've been doing this a long time. Are you still having fun with it?
Absolutely. The older I get, you find other ways to have fun with it. Now, for instance, with my baby boy, it's a ton of fun. You want your son to be out to see you out there being a badass every time you hit the racetrack. So that's kind of one thing that really, makes me happy to be able to still get in a race car so he can see me and cheer for daddy. And,
sure.
And hopefully, if he decides to go down that road, he remembers some of this stuff.
Well, your career has taken you all over the place, all over the country. You followed and competed against some of the very best, the World of Outlaws, ASCS National Tour, just a couple of the examples of that. How has all that experience shaped you as a driver to who you are right now?
There's definitely been some major situations that have come up along my racing career, like, for instance, being out in Pennsylvania and racing for the Sorokats family for 3 years. I actually met my wife out there, so that obviously shaped who I am quite a bit right now, but it also shaped me as a racer, probably even maybe more so than running with the World of Outlaws, because unfortunately, when we ran with the World of Outlaws, we did it on a very, very tight budget. Most people wouldn't even dream of doing it that way. And we basically did it to be out there and get the laps, and my dad sacrificed a lot of time and effort for basically zero money to help keep us out there, build our motor. So, doing it that way, I don't know that really shapes you as a racer more so than you get to see these racetracks and kind of make some laps and whatnot. So I think really my time in Pennsylvania made me did the best to improve my racing.
Yeah, did it make you better? Are you more talented now because of what you experienced out there?
Absolutely. Racing against Greg Hodnett, Lance DeWeese, Freddie Raymer, those guys, they might not be household names over here, but you anywhere in Central PA, you mention Freddie Raymer and you get 3 guys going, "Yay, Freddie," and 1 guy going, "I hate that guy." So I mean, they're very, very passionate about their sport, and that really gets instilled into you in a hurry when you're out there, because these guys are passionate. These fans are crazy over there.
You recently made a pretty big change in your career after a successful 4-year run with BDS Motorsports, which included a top 3 finish at the Knoxville Nationals in 2013 and a top 5 finish in 2014. You left that team last June after for personal reasons. So now that you're a year removed from that, does it still feel like the right decision for you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've got things to worry about besides racing. I mean, racing is one of my forms of income, but I have my own business, Parking Lot Solutions, which does line striping all over town. That takes a lot of attention. Although my guys are taking care of it very well now, and that's pretty much self-sufficient. At the time, I needed to spend more time with that, and a brand new baby boy. And they're only brand new once. You know, we only get that opportunity one time, and it was my plan to be able to go out there and run with the ASCS and hopefully make enough money where I could bring them with a lot, but that just didn't happen. So when that wasn't happening and I could see the trend, it was time to make a change. And when I made that change, there was another team that was looking for a driver, and there was a seat to fill, and Thun Motorsports was available at that time, so we made that happen, and I was very happy for the opportunity.
And that's the good news here is that you are still racing. Get into a little bit more about this new team and the setup you currently have.
This was almost pretty much a year ago that I quit with the ASCS. So when I quit with them, I called up Brandon and asked if there was a seat available there. They had a different driver at the time, and things were just about perfect timing-wise, and I jumped in with them, and they've done everything they can to give me the best equipment to race with. We've decided to run Knoxville full-time for the points so far this year. Unless something drastic happens, then maybe we'll venture off and run some other stuff if we realize that points title is way out of grasp. But they're also capable of running other shows, outlaw shows here or there, or all-star shows here or there. So probably wouldn't have a ride if it wasn't for Thun Motorsports and everybody there that puts in a ton of effort to make sure that I have a good ride every week.
Well, you mentioned Knoxville. It's a place you've had a lot of success at over the years. Is that your favorite place to race?
I would definitely say Knoxville is my favorite place to race. I mean, as far as all-out speed goes, Eldora is probably the fastest place that we race. And I mean, why would you start racing sprint cars if you didn't like speed? So obviously Eldora is a ton of fun, but Knoxville is really the mecca. I mean, they spoil us there every week with a fantastic facility. The whole crew at Knoxville, they're just great people, and it's a racing community. We have a house that we've stayed in every night that we go down there for the last 15 years. We stay at the house with Connie Langer, and she takes care of us. She makes us breakfast in the morning and gives us a big, I call her my Iowa mom, so gives us a big hug and says, "See you next week." So, I mean, it is like a second home.
All right, Justin, well, congrats on everything you've got going right now. Certainly want to wish you the best of luck going forward this season, and thanks so much for taking a little time with us here on Midco Motorsports.
Thanks for having me. You guys have a great show.
The top modified tour in the country made its way to our region last week. We'll have highlights and post-race reactions from the USMTS stop at Nobles County next. Following a brief 2-week break, the United States Modified Touring Series ramped things back up in a hurry by rolling through 3 states in as many nights last week. That stretch began Thursday at Nobles County Speedway. Beautiful night in Worthington for the 8th running of the USMTS Summer Slam. But it was the B-Mods that tried to steal the show early. Great battle at the front between a couple of South Dakota guys. Brandon's Dustin Cruz in the 6 and Maya Christensen of Sioux Falls in the 782. Cruz trying to go wire to wire here, but Christensen wouldn't go away. His persistence finally paid off with 2 to go. Christensen makes the pass on the inside. It wasn't over yet, though. Cruz trying to return the favor as they reach the final turn, but Christensen holds on for a thrilling victory.
One of my deals I'm not very good at, just being patient, just waiting there and buying my time. I seen he was getting a little bit snug there in the deal, and I was just waiting for my couple times I had an opportunity. I wasn't quite there, so I just had to be patient.
USMTS points leader Johnny Scott didn't have time for patience in the night's main event. Scott found the high groove off the start and used it to slingshot past Slayton, Minnesota's Jason Crone for the lead before the end of lap 1. Scott cruised through the next 10 circuits before traffic started to slow his pace, and that allowed Crone to pounce. The 7K dives to the inside to reclaim that top spot, but he just could not keep the 1ST at bay. Scott steals the lead again just 2 laps later, and this time he kept it. Scott drives on for his 6th win of the year, while Crone settled for 3rd.
When you get to them lap cars, you got to just try to find a hole and go as fast as you can, because the guys behind you will pass you if you don't get by them guys quick enough. That's what happened to me that first time. Crone got by me that first time, and then there when we took off again, I got to them lap cars and I got around them a little faster this next time because I knew better.
Despite the threat of flooding earlier in the week, the show went on as scheduled at Rapid Speedway. Picking up with the USRA Hobby Stock main event, Tyler Schlumbum used the pole position to get out front early, but he'd have plenty of company throughout. Dylan Vandentop and Dylan Fitzpatrick each worked door-to-door with Schlumbum at different points, but the X marked the spot. Schlumbum does just enough to secure his first victory of the season. The B-Mods put on a show as well. Coulter Deutsch would show the way for most of this race, but a familiar car entered the picture late. Maya Christensen pulls almost the exact same move that won him the race in Worthington the night before, and it works yet again. Christensen makes it back-to-back while collecting his 2nd win of the year in Rock Rapids. Great field for the USRA stock car feature, although a few of the usual contenders would see their nights cut short on lap 2. Defending track champ Elijah Zievenbergen bowed out first with mechanical issues. Then Scott Overgaard gets tangled up with Justin Regneris. With those guys out of the mix, it was smooth sailing for Darren Cordles. The Rock Rapids native picks up his 2nd win in dominating fashion and also moves to the top of the stock car standings. From car decals to t-shirts, one local company is in the business of making your favorite drivers and their sponsors look good. We'll take a closer look at the art of Octane after this. And welcome back. Well, every race car driver wants to stand out, and the look of their car is one way to make sure they do. Flashy graphics and paint schemes are fun, of course, but they're also important. Midco SN's Elena Lansing caught up with a local business owner to get a closer look at the art of racing.
Thanks so much, Jay, and thank you so much, John, for being here today and letting us get a taste of what you guys do here. And it is racing season. How busy are you guys with motorsport stuff?
So, I mean, as far as motorsports is concerned, obviously we're very big into the UTV, the snowmobile market, but as far as, the dirt track is concerned, we're really busy. Usually we always start on the design a little ahead of time, but for the most part, it's super busy right now.
So how many cars would you say you wrap for motorsport season?
So it's been up into the over 100. We've branched out and we're doing stuff in North Dakota. We're really big in the sprint car world. So we're doing everything, we're shipping to Oklahoma and really kind of all over. And we really want to, and we've kind of started dabbling in Australia because sprint car racing is really big over there. So, as far as our printing side of the business, our wraps, we probably this year maybe have done upwards of 60.
When someone brings you a car start to finish, tell me about the process. I mean, how do you come up with a design and how long does it take?
So the design process, some of our customers have an idea of exactly what they want. Some come in and say, just come up with something. So either or, it doesn't matter to us. We will we'll tailor, kind of take some ideas from them as far as what colors do they like, what kind of sponsors do they have, what colors are in their sponsors, and how can we incorporate that all together. Then there's the printing, and there's fluorescence, overlays of fluorescence, which always add dramatic effects to every wrap. So the whole design process, it can take as little as an hour, or it could take as much as a couple days. Just depends on how crazy they want to get with the artwork. how many logos, how many sponsors do they have on the vehicle. If we get sponsors, if they provide us with logos, or if we have to recreate the logos, that all takes time. So as far as design process, from proof to being approved, it could be as easy as a couple hours to a couple days. Really, from print to install is a day. I mean, we can do it all in a day. So you can drop it off in the morning and pick it up that night.
That is incredibly fast, especially designing, putting it on. And obviously this isn't a sprint car, but you're showing me kind of the work that you guys have to do. You have to design it so it fits into the plastic mold. So how do you guys do that?
So these are all templated out, of course, versus a race car is a actual big wrap. These are all templated out, but it is difficult. It's not every designer. It's not something every designer can do, and not every designer can do a vehicle wrap, because you do have to understand, okay, there's door handles here, there's a mirror here, there's moldings that are here. On a commercial vehicle wrap, you don't want the customer's logo going through that stuff. So you have to kind of design around that, what looks good and what doesn't look good. The whole process the more you do, the easier it gets, point being. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And
Yes.
I'm excited to see some of these designs out there on the track this season.
Yes.
So hopefully I'll be able to pick them out now that you've shown me a little bit of the style.
Yeah, I think that is one thing that people come to us for, is kind of our crazy designs. And you can kind of pick our cars out.
Well, if I ever get a sprint car, I know where to go.
Let's do it.
All right. Thank you so
Yes,
much.
you
And
bet.
Jay, we'll send it right back to you.
That is our time for this week. Enjoy the races, everyone. We'll see you back here Wednesday, July 18th for another episode of Midco Motorsports.